welcome back to Devils United. The Premier League is back this weekend and we're finally doing a Premier League preview. Woo! With me today I've got Joe. How are you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm all right. As you say, looking forward to the new season, seeing what we can do. Obviously, losing one of our best players in the transfer window, and maybe looking like we might be losing another. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how we fare compared to last season.
It will be very interesting indeed. Before we get on to the preview, I'll just pop into the chat. Hey there, Reese. I hope you're good. Hey there, Helg on Wheels. Hope you're good also. All the way from Norway. He's a brilliant guy. Hello there to the Eldu brothers. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in.
One of my guys.
Thank you very much for coming through to the chat. Hey there, Andrew. Hope you're good. Thanks for coming in. And hello there to my dad. I hope you are well also. So we will go with the season, and we'll start with, for you, how prepared do you feel like Brighton is coming to this season ahead?
Pre-season was going really well from what we saw. I think things this week have taken a little step back, maybe with one massive transfer story coming out of our club. So I'm hoping things aren't too much in upheaval in the training ground. I believe Mark Cucurella has been told to stay away from the first team training. So hopefully full preparation going into Sunday, and we'll be ready and raring to go.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I was looking actually at the transfers that Brighton have made so far, and so far you've currently made 3 signings from what I'm checking out, if that's correct, and one of them as well from Porto, and I think that's a brilliant signing considering he's just won the league, and I think that's someone who would be a great influence in that Brighton squad.
Yeah, Porto, I'm not sure who you're referring to. Might be Jeremy Sarmiento, who played in our under-23s last year. But in terms of first team signs, we haven't seen that many going into the new season. One that we got from South America, Julio Enciso,
Yeah.
sorry. He's looking really sharp. We're not sure whether he's fully part of Graham Potter's first team plans. We got another guy again into our under-23s, I believe, from Porto. But what we do have is we've got a big array of players coming back from loan, which is really good. We've got like the likes of Matoma, a striker called Undav. It'd just be very interesting to see how they adapt to the Premier League. And of course, we had Van Heck out on loan at Blackburn last season, who I thought played really well. And I'm really excited to see if he fares in Graham Potter's plans as well. So, yeah, we've got a good few options to look at, as well as our old reliable, like Lewis Dunk, Solly March, Pascal Gross type players.
Yeah, because I look at Brighton and I think you've done so well last season, and you lost some players there as well. Like you lost Dan Burn, especially it was in January. You lost Dan Burn, you lost Ben White, and that was 2 brilliant centre backs for Brighton. What you lost, and a lot of people was thinking Brighton's going to struggle this season, especially when it came to January, and you've seen that a little bit of a dip in Brighton's performances. I think a lot of people was thinking, well, what's going to happen here? But I felt like Graham Potter was able to overcome that and take the team forward into 9th place. And based off just away wins, you would have finished 3rd. And that just shows how great Graham Potter and how great the team have been last season.
Yeah, it's great for us to have that away form, something that under Chris Hughton we didn't have much of at all, especially in the Premier League. So yeah, it's great that we've got that mentality with Graham, that we can go anywhere and we can play the football that we want to play. And as you say, in January it looked really iffy, especially when Dan Burn left, because we couldn't play our system anymore. We had a few players out injured. I know Adam Webster was injured for quite a period of time, and he's instrumental in the way we play. And I'm a bit concerned that he is so injury prone, because I want to see him. I think he could get into the England squad if he had a good run of games, but that's just me being biased probably. As you say, we lost Ben White as well for really good money. So yeah, I think a lot of people always underestimate us, especially when we lose these players for such big profit. But that's the club that we are. We have to sell those players in order us to fund more development and to take us on a journey where our chairman wants us to be, and that is top 10 football. We got top 10 last season. Let's just hope that can continue. Obviously, as we said, Basuma's gone. Mark Cucurella looks like he's going to go as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how we react to that.
It definitely is, and the Elder brothers have said lots of great players coming through at Brighton. It's exciting, and one that I did see was the youngster from Chelsea who's actually linked to Brighton, if I'm correct. And from what I've seen of him, he looks like a terrific player. And we've seen Graham Potter; he's able to build players up to make them into a beast. So I really would not be surprised if Graham Potter could get the best out of this guy.
Yeah, obviously we saw with Tariq Lamptey when he came in, he was hugely out of sorts at Chelsea. I think he maybe had one competitive appearance, which was a substitution against Arsenal, I believe. And yeah, look at the player he is. Unfortunately, had a massive injury, so he's taken a step back a little bit. We're hoping that he can carry on and be the player that we all love and remember. But as you say, this new guy from Chelsea, I can't remember his name, but I have seen that I believe he's actually officially signed now. Or is it Levi Colwill that you're talking about? Yeah. Are you talking about the defender? Because we also got someone on our academy as well, a 16-year-old lad who looks really good. But Colwill, yeah, he played really well in the Championship last season with Huddersfield. Obviously is looking like he's going to be some kind of part of the Mark Cucurella deal as well. But as I say, I refer to my comments about Tariq Lamptey. Exactly that at Brighton. We give youngsters the opportunity to play Premier League football, and most of them prove that they can play at that level.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I used to look at Lamptey and think I would absolutely love him at Manchester United. I'd still have Lamptey at Manchester United, I'll be honest. He'd easily get in ahead of Dello. He'd easily get in ahead of Wan-Bissaka in our squad. So I would love to have Lamptey, but I'm probably presuming it's going to be a high price tag.
To be honest, at the moment, probably not as high as it would have been a year ago. As I say, he's had that injury. He doesn't really look like the same sort of player that he was before the injury. I think he's maybe a little bit reserved on taking people on and getting to his top speed like we know he can. I was watching a few highlights earlier because I'm that sad. That's what I do. I sit there and watch Brighton highlights. And the penalties he won us, the fouls he was drawing out of players all over the pitch. It's a real problem when Tariq Lamptey is massively on form for the opposition. And I think even when he was like top of his form, like Bayern Munich were looking at him. So he's got that in him to get to a really high ceiling and go on to the likes of United or maybe even back to Chelsea. Obviously, we want to keep him, but that's the development of the player that is really promising.
I think if you do sign him, though, do not forget a buyback clause from Chelsea, because they've been very, very sneaky at doing that. They've done it with quite a few players, and they're putting like buyback clauses for like 20 mil, and if the player comes brilliant, they'll be getting absolute steals.
Yeah, exactly that. I bet they're kicking themselves they didn't put a buyback clause on Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, but hey ho. But yeah, what we've got at Brighton is a really good chairman, a really good CEO who are going to be fighting for the best outcome for our football club. And if the deal doesn't feel right, then we're not going to go ahead with the deal and we're going to look at other options. That's what I absolutely love about our club is that a massive club like Man City or Chelsea can come in with £50 million on the table for our best player, and we're not afraid to say no, which is great. So
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but did you initially reject Ben White's deal and then Arsenal up the price then as well?
Yeah, I think it was like 35 million to start
Yeah.
with, and then it went up to 50. Not sure if there's add-ons in there, but the season before, obviously, when he came back on his loan from Leeds, Leeds wanted him as well, and they offered 30 million pounds for him. So again, it's just more proof that we are going to reject those deals if it doesn't feel right for us.
Well, exactly, and if you look at Brighton as well, and them like them signings, whoever you sell on, they could help towards another brilliant signing. Because you look at Ben White, you got him for 50 mil, but then you got Cucurella on such a low price. Was it around 5 million? 5 to 10 million you got him for, roughly around. I know he was linked to a fair few teams as well. So to make that kind of profit on Cucurella if he does go, I think that's absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, it is. And as you say, like I think it was like a £15 million release clause that we paid Getafe at the time, which is obviously great for us. But then, like a massive year in the Premier League, it adds 25, 35 million pounds to his price tag. And if it is that much, then yeah, great for us. But to be honest, I think if he was happy, we would much rather keep him, obviously, because you've seen the player he is. Like the whole Premier League's seen the player that he can be. Comes from Barcelona's academy. That is no mean feat at all. So, yeah, if it is 52 million that's been reported plus add-ons, great. But I'd much rather keep the player.
Well, yeah, because he could be the difference between getting top 10, it's being in the top half of the bottom of the table. Let's just say, like, it's difference between 10 and 12, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. If you look
Yeah.
at how tight that was last season between like even 14th up to 9th, there was like only a few points in it. So it really is that close in the Premier League. So we have to be really careful with the business that we do.
I completely agree. Gotta jump into a quick some comments here. Andrew said Dan Burn hit Brighton hard for around 4 to 5 weeks last year, and I completely agree. And what Graham Potter done, they bounced the team back. I think maybe would you say he was feeling the squad was feeling a little bit low with the Dan Burn loss, and probably maybe not the confidence a little bit for a short space of time?
I think what it was, as I said, I think before we started recording, what it was that we just couldn't play our system anymore.
Yeah.
I think I'm glitching, so I'm going to try and come back in 1 second.
And I'll read some comments as well whilst you get the Wi-Fi sorted. Andrew said Basuma and Cucurella are big losses, but not insoluble. I completely agree. Hey there, Football Power Hour. Hope you're well. I still think we're going to steal the 3 points because of the absence of Basuma and Cucurella. Respect to Potter, for me, he is one of the next crop of top tier managers. Completely agree there. Joe's back.
Sorry, guys.
No need to apologise at all. It happens. We all know Wi-Fi could be a bit of a pain sometimes. Yeah. Andrew said Graham Potter was average till he came to Swansea. We made him and passed him on to Brighton. Then we made Steve Cooper and passed him on to Forest.
Yeah, that's football for you, Andrew.
Reese has said something which I do completely agree with. I think Brighton will get up to speed, but they need to find some more goals from key positions.
Yeah, I think we've been relying a lot on Neil Maupay, a guy that's been consistently our top goal scorer since he joined the club. And I feel like we need a few more from midfield. Where that comes from, I don't know. It's so up in the air at the moment, obviously, because we don't really know what midfield it's going to look like next season with Basuma leaving. It's looking as though it would be Caicedo and McAllister next to each other. and both of those have shown that they can score goals. Obviously, I know, unfortunately, Caicedo scored his first one against United, and McAllister, we know he can score. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where those goals come from.
Yeah, with of course you have lost out on Bissouma now. Do you feel like you might see a change in formation with Brighton?
No, I don't think so. We've got players that can drop in, and I think with Basuma, what you've got is a player that can do so many different things on the football pitch, and Brighton need maybe two players to cover the things that Basuma can do. And what we've got in McAllister is a guy that loves to tackle, loves to run, and what we've got with Caicedo is a guy that loves to go box to box, and is tenacious in a tackle as well, and he loves to win the ball back. So I think we should be in good stead. But the thing that worries us is injuries. If one of those is out, and Wepu as well, he was injured a lot last season. We've seen the player he can be if he's not injured all the time. It worries us, because then we've got to rely on a 35-year-old Adam Lallana, or Steven Alzate, who hasn't had that many minutes. And that's no disrespect to Steven Alzate. I think he's a wonderful footballer. I just think he needs a good run in the side before we can really start to trust him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And especially with the intensity of the Premier League, you are going to want to put in your best squad week in, week out. And when it comes to like cup games like the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, depending who you get, of course, you can add that bit of leniency on that, and you can get them minutes built in through there.
Yeah, exactly. And what we saw a few seasons ago under Chris Hughton was a really good cup run in the FA Cup. A lot of fringe players done really well and played a really important role. So yeah, I think a cup run would be nice. As you say, to give those fringe players those minutes on the pitch, and to be ready for when we eventually or inevitably will need them in the Premier League.
Completely agree. Good evening to you, Martin. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. Hey there as well, Rather. Thank you for coming in also. My dad has a question for you, Joe, on are you confident for this season, coming into this season?
I think the best word to use would be quietly confident, or best phrase to use would be quietly confident. As I've already mentioned, we've got a wonderful manager in place, and I've got full faith that he can get the best out of every single player that's in our squad. So yeah, I don't think we'll see as high a finish as ninth, because that was just unbelievable last season, and like during that January-February dip, that was just completely out of the question. And so, like, imagine if we didn't have that dip, we would have been looking at the Europa League next season, which maybe would have come a bit too early for us because so many distractions. You've got Thursday night games, you're playing abroad, so maybe would have hindered us. And I don't think we're actually ready for that yet. But yeah, I think we'll see like maybe a 13th or 12th.
Yeah, that would be good for Brighton, and I completely agree. I think when it does come to teams, especially when you're building up, you need to walk before you can run. And you see a lot of fans, like you look for, I'm not going to name fan bases, but some who are saying, oh, we've got this now, so I want to be in the Champions League next year. And I look at it and think, you literally won't be ready for the Champions League. And that's going to be for a lot of fan bases, because if you're not going to, I'm not saying Brighton wouldn't, but if you're not going to invest into the squad correctly and you're not going to have that squad depth, you're going to truly, truly struggle, because you're playing in 5 competitions potentially. You've got, for instance, Europa League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Premier League, and then if, for instance, what you've done last year, you could be having a load of cup runs. Like, even if you won FA Cup last year, you could be in the Community Shield. So I think 4 is a lot of competitions to be in if you've not got the squad depth.
Yeah, and as I said, like we're maybe 1 or 2 injuries away from having a really depleted midfield. and I hope it's a position that we do strengthen towards the end of the transfer window. Obviously, got a month left, but yeah, as I said earlier, I think it would have come far too early for us. I think maybe one more season where we can try and consolidate ninth place or even eighth place and be knocking on the door, and then we go again. It's all about slow progression. What football fans want all the time is, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now.
Yeah.
I want instant success. I want this, I want that, I want that player for 50 million. It doesn't work like that when you're a club like us. You have to do exactly what we've been doing, and I've got full faith in our owners, in our management team, that we are going in the right direction, but slowly.
You know what though? You don't need to pay loads of money on a player for a player to do well. It's
No,
just about on how he fits into that team, and that's why, as a Man United fan, I was happy getting Malassi at the price we got, because I think for me, he's what a modern fullback should be like. He's brilliant. I don't know how much you've seen of Malassi yourself, but he's brilliant at both the attacking and the defending. I think he's better at attacking, but he can improve upon that, and he's still only very young as well. And to do it go into the Premier League at young age, it's great. And that's what I think. Instead of going for all these big price tags, you need to have players who suit your club. Look at, for instance, Arsenal. They're buying loads of players, don't know where they're gonna go, where they're gonna suit.
yeah.
You look even at Jack Grealish last season for Manchester City, 100 million, and what's his best position for Manchester City?
Yeah, Jack Grealish is a funny one. As you say,
Yeah.
£100 million, £100 million for what? 5 goals and 4 assists. I don't know the exact numbers, but that is just ridiculous. But you look at our transfer approach, when we bought in Pascal Gross in our first season, I think it was like £3.5 million. Look at what he's done. I think he's been the top chance creator across every season we've had him in the side. People call it like a Moneyball approach. I don't know if you've seen the film, but it's just about getting a really good bunch of human beings that are going to work hard for each other, that are going to put everything on the line for each other. If you've got a massive ego in the middle of that, I refer you to Cristiano Ronaldo for you guys. Then,
I agree.
do you know what I mean? Like, you're just going to be overshadowed by this huge ego that wants you to do well and is putting so much pressure on you, but you're still getting used to the Premier League. You're a young guy who's come in from potentially a different country, and you're expected to play well instantly, a 10 out of 10 performance every week. It doesn't happen like that. People forget that footballers are human beings. They're all going to have bad weeks. They're all going to have people at work that they don't like. It's about making that squad harmony a nice place to come to work.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree, and you know what? I couldn't agree more about Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's been all up in the air. You probably would have seen anyway. He wants to leave Manchester United, and Cristiano Ronaldo, people say greatest footballer of all time, kind of thing. But I don't. I appreciate what he's done in the 2000s for Man United when he was young. But what he's doing now is creating divide, saying, I don't want to be here. It's not fair for Eric Ten Hag. It's not fair for the other people who want to play for the club, for him to talk to his agent and say, I don't want to be here, leaving early. And for if anyone wants to say he was granted that, he wasn't, because Ten Hag said, no, you should be. I didn't ask anybody to leave early for after that preseason game. He should be leaving early. You come as a team, you leave as a team, and I just don't. I think with Cristiano Ronaldo, he isn't gonna get another top club. I'm not saying Man United's a top club, by the way. At this moment in time, we're not obviously a title-winning team, but he isn't gonna get a Champions League club either. The way he plays, he needs to be in a club what will drop everything to suit him, and the clubs in the Champions League will not do that.
No, and I go back to something you said earlier, how you're saying it's not fair on the club, it's not fair on the manager. I also think it's not fair on the fans that are putting so much faith and so much hope in this guy who, yeah, as you say, in the early 2000s was just this like icon for United. You look back at the number 7 shirt. I'm a Premier League fan as well as a Brighton fan, and I remember the days of Ronaldo at United back then, and he was just unplayable. And he still can be unplayable on his day, but he's just such a massive ego. And yeah, as I say, it's so unfair on the fans that have paid so much money for a Ronaldo shirt, and this is the guy that's going to come in and get the United way going again, get those Fergie days back. But he's just come and completely torn down everything that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know he didn't play under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think.
He played a lot. He played with Volley up till the Watford game, and then Ole got the sack.
So obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a guy that clearly loves Manchester United,
yeah,
and was clearly trying to do everything for the team. And you've got a guy that comes in with, as I say, the biggest ego in the world, and tries to tear everything down. And the only thing I can sort of pinpoint this on, or not pinpoint, but only thing I can refer to is what I saw last season, which was the 4-0 against Brighton. And he just stands there after that fourth goal goes in and just laughs. If you're a fan watching that, how did that make you feel when you saw his reactions?
I did a watch along that game, and I couldn't talk. After that third goal went in, I went silent. I literally was that angry I couldn't talk. That was how annoyed I was at that game. And Brighton truly, truly outclassed us. They did. And please tell the viewers as well what happened in that game and how you were set up once you actually got the game going, because you said it behind stage. And I just want United fans to know how poor we was in that game.
Yeah, so when Brighton are really, really on top, and it's shown that we are controlling a team, and this the team that we're playing really doesn't have much of a chance of coming back in. We tend to adopt what our fans like to call anyway, our one at the back system, where we literally leave Lewis Dunk back to command the back line, and we just let Veltman overlap the right wing back. We let Kukureya overlap the left wing back, and we just throw everything at it. And that's exactly what we've done against United, because it just shown that you were leaving gaps all over the pitch. There was no desire to go forward from the opposition. So we thought, okay, this game's ours. Off you go, lads. Go have the best time of your life. And the final result is what it is, because we were allowed to play the free-flowing football that we can kill people with.
One centre back defending.
Yeah. As I say, it's the fans that refer it as one at the back, because that's how it looks when everyone's pushed up on the halfway line. But I'm not sure Graham Potter sees it at that, because I think if Graham Potter saw us with one at the back, he'd probably have kittens. But as you say, it's just for us funny, not for you.
A part of me wants to laugh in humiliation, but the other part of me wants to cry.
Well, it's all in the past now. It's going down as one of the best games in Brighton's history, but I'm sure you United fans are going to forget that very quickly.
Well, we certainly won't forget it. It's still going to stay in my memory forever. So,
Sorry.
No need to apologise. Eldu Brothers has asked, are you United fans confident for the season ahead? I think for me, we need to be patient. This season, in my opinion, it's about transition for Erik ten Hag of what he can do with the squad. He said that his priority now is to get us into Champions League football. Personally, for me, well, what I predicted, I didn't predict us to finish in the top 4, predicted us to finish 5th. So that means, and I think this is what we should do, aim for the Europa League. I think that's going to be our best route in getting into the Champions League. And I think that knowing that we haven't won a trophy since 2017, it's something that is overdue for Manchester United as well. So, a part of me, I'm not overly confident because there's major things that need to improve. We need a striker for sure. We need a right back. We need to improve near enough the whole team. But I think that if we could work properly as a team, we've got rid of a lot of egos already, like Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard, for instance. If we could get rid of the egos, work well as a team, I think there's no reason why we can't finish where I've predicted and do far in the Europa League, because I think cups are going to be something what's going to help us this season.
Yeah, as you say, as I said earlier, it's a massive transition period again for Manchester United. You seem to be going through like 6 of them every 4 years, what it feels like anyway. But I think you've got a really good manager in Ten Hag, a guy that, albeit in the Dutch league, knows how to win games, knows how to win trophies. If he puts that across to the United players, and you've got a really good bunch of individuals in there, really good players that we know can hurt teams. You just need to get them back and get them confident again. Confidence is a huge thing in football, and if you've got a confident Marcus Rashford, then he's going to score goals. If you've got a confident Anthony Martial, he's going to score goals.
He's injured.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He got injured during training this week, so I think otherwise he would have started. So that means Cristiano Ronaldo's most likely playing. But rumours are suggesting that Alanga will be playing instead of Ronaldo. So maybe Marcus Rashford might be up front.
I don't see why you would put Ronaldo in if he's he play 1 game in pre-season?
1 game, because he refused to come to pre-season.
Yeah, so as a manager, you just completely refuse that. Like, there's no way. It doesn't matter if you're Lionel Messi. It doesn't matter if you're God. Like, if you don't put in the work, I'm sorry. Like, it's going to be the people that have turned up on time every day, put in the work every single second that they've been here, that are going to play the first game in the Premier League.
Yeah, and exactly that's what Ten Hag has said as well. If getting into the team is about what you've done in training, what you've done in the team, and if you're not turning up for training, if you're not putting the effort in, you're not starting. It's as simple as that. And I do think that there is players who do deserve to start. I think for me, Alanga needs a loan deal, in my personal opinion, just because he's still only very young. He needs to. I think the Premier League at the moment, especially playing at Manchester United, is a lot for a 19-year-old, and I would personally think going into the Championship, get a good run of games and to get his confidence back in scoring, because he didn't get that many goals really for Man United for the length of time he was there under Ralph. So I'd like him to get a little bit more confidence in himself, because he's another one who's been getting a load of hate on social media because he did do well in pre-season.
Well, that's horrific. And as you say, what he still 19?
19 years old.
It's crazy that people feel the need, even like pre-seasons to get you mentally and physically fit, right? If you don't do well, you don't do well. It doesn't matter. You can go home. You can lose in pre-season 6-0 and go home and think, actually, I put a good account of myself in today because I ran and I covered every blade of grass. It's how it translates into the new season that really matters. So him getting hate for that is just utterly unbelievable, to be honest. But yeah, as you say, going into the Championship might be that's I held it together. It's all good. If he goes into the Championship, it might be a really good thing for him. If he goes into the Championship and scores bags of goals and I don't know, comes top scorer and comes back to United. Like I've said it so many times on my podcast that like Van Heck last season played so well for Blackburn. If we signed him for £10 million, £15 million now, we would be excited. But fans aren't that excited because he's already our player. So the same stands for Elanga. If he goes into the Championship and he comes back to United, people should be really excited if he does really well, because you've got a player that's developing in the right way.
I completely agree. I think the thing is, what Man United's issue is, when we do have a player, I just think for me that we overuse him. And you look at what Man City done with Phil Foden. he broke him in gently into the team. And if you're gonna want to keep a player, you need to break them in gently. You can't, just because you haven't had a good run and form in other players. It's tough for a 19-year-old to take all the slack and to be starting every single game after coming straight in from the youth.
Yeah, and I think, again, what you've got in Ten Hag is a manager that is going to do that and is going to help youngsters. You look at what he developed at Ajax, for example. I'm not sure if he was there. I don't know how long he was there for, but I imagine he was involved in De Ligt, De Jong, Anthony on the right hand side, people like that. And he's a manager that's obviously not proven in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong. But he knows how to treat human beings. He knows how to treat footballers, and he knows how to get the best out of a team. That's the most important thing. And as you say, it's about easing these people in really slowly. And I don't want to praise him too much because I'm on a Man United podcast, but that's what Pep Guardiola could do. And he is the best for a reason. Again, I won't mention him too much, and I'll shut up about it
now. I've seen a lot of Pep Guardiola praise. Don't worry. Have you ever seen Klopp praise?
Well, I think what Jurgen Klopp has, he's just a really funny person. I think when it comes to football, he's a bit of a. I'm not sure if I can swear. I'm not going to swear. I think he's a bit of an idiot. But away from football, I think he's quite funny.
Yeah, I must agree, to be honest. Ravi, question: how well do you think Martinez will do this season? I think Martinez, he looked very good in pre-season. Obviously, pre-season is just pre-season, but I think he's an outstanding player. Martinez is very well with his tackles, his interceptions, and I just think a lot of people are looking at the wider picture about his height and not looking at the abilities that Martinez has, because even though he is the shortest Premier League centre back, he still had such a high reach, and he actually won a lot of the headers in the for the corners during pre-season. So if that's the case, then he's going to do exactly well for Manchester United. I can't see why he wouldn't do well, but I think just as other players, patience is what's required. Do you see much of Martinez, Joe?
I don't know a huge deal about him, but what I do, he's come from Ajax, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So instantly there, you've got a player that the manager knows, so that works, and you've got a manager that the player knows, so even better. But yeah, I know I've not seen much on him, but yeah, remains to be seen what he can do in the Premier League.
Very, very true. Question for Football Power: Martial injured, who is starting up front? Ronaldo could be an option, but rumours are suggesting it's going to be Rashford up front and Alanga's going to be playing on the left, Sancho on the right. Toon Review is in the chat. Hey there to you. Got a question for you, Joe. Do Brighton fans expect to be as dominant in ball retention, recoveries and possession after the loss of Bissouma and possibly more?
As I say, we hope so. We've got two players, Alexis McAllister, Moises Caicedo, who can play that role really well. And Caicedo's got a massive ceiling. He could be one of the best in the world. And that's not just me being Brighton biased. I really think he's got that ceiling. So I'm really excited to see a full Premier League season from him. And honestly, if I'm being really honest, I don't actually think we'll miss Bissouma that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I do like Bissouma. I think he is a great player, and what he's done in the midfield for Brighton is great. But I think knowing that you've had losses and you still managed to still do exceptionally well, I think if Bissouma was going to be such a massive loss for Brighton, you wouldn't have let him go just for 25 mil, in my opinion, anyway.
The reason the price tag was so low is because he had 1 year left on his contract. Really? So yeah, that's what a lot of fans' misconception is that look at Brighton letting their best player go for 25 million. They've got no ambition. When actually, if a player isn't going to be signing a new contract, you want to let him go when he's got 1 year left, because in 6 months' time he can agree a pre-contract, and then we lose him for nothing. So I think the figure was actually north of 30 million. With add-ons, so it's actually amazing business. As I say, it's a huge misconception that we've let him go for pennies.
I wouldn't have thought that, but I thought under the same breath too. I looked at it for 25 million is. I would have thought a little bit more from what I've seen as well. A little bit more from Brighton, especially knowing that with Ben White deal as well, and I just expected that tiny bit higher, like 35 mil. But I didn't know he only had 1 year left either.
I think with add-ons, it is actually close to 35 million.
Okay.
Obviously, the fee will always be with Brighton is always undisclosed, so we'll never actually know how much we're getting for him. But our local reporter Andy Naylor, he said it's north of 30 million. So I think we can probably be hopeful that it's a decent amount, and we reinvest that again into our youth system, which we've been doing really well, into our loan system, which we've been doing impeccably well. So yeah, as I say, I don't think it's going to be a huge loss, but obviously again, like I said earlier, you'd rather have the player than the money. But then if you've got an unhappy player, does it really matter?
Yeah, I completely agree 100%. And hey there, Red Devil Studio. Hope you're well. United are really not prepared. No, I don't think we are prepared, I must be honest. But what we'll do our lineup predictions and score predictions before we wrap up. I'll start with you, Joe, with your lineup prediction for Brighton.
Yeah, so it'll be Sanchez in goal. We'll start with a back three of Veltman, Dunk, and Webster. We'll have a wing back system operating with Solly March on the right and Leandro Trossard on the left. Midfield will be, hold on, let me just get my maths right. So I've got Dunk, Veltman, Webster, Trossard, March. It'll be McAllister and Caicedo in the midfield. And then we will have Mwepu, Pascal Gross, and leading the line will be your old favourite Danny Welbeck.
Oh, and he might score against his former club. Who knows?
Possibly. I don't think he has yet. Or maybe no, he did a couple of seasons ago. Maybe he'll get the win.
When he came on as a substitute, he was hungry to get a goal against us. You could tell.
Yeah, no, we love Danny Welbeck down here, and like I said to my dad, we went to the pre-season friendly last week against Espanyol, and I just turned to my dad and go, Dad, do you ever just pinch yourself that we've got Danny Welbeck in a Brighton shirt? It's just that incredible that we've got a Champions League winner, a Premier League winner in Adam Lallana. And Danny Welbeck, who's played for two of arguably the biggest clubs in England. So, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Hey there, Nippon. I hope you're good. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, I think it's a strong lineup as well there from Brighton. I hope Danny Welbeck doesn't score against us, but I really wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a clean sheet, because we rarely do get a clean sheet. And Lewis Dunk in the back three, that's always going to be trouble as well.
Or the back one.
Or the back one. But I do love Sanchez as a goalkeeper. I've always said that I would love Sanchez to come to Manchester United. I think he's absolutely quality, to be honest. And he's Spain's number 2. So to have that in your squad as well is brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And his rise has been so rapid. Like 2 years ago, he was on loan at a League One club, if I'm not mistaken, or League Two even. So yeah, as I say, his rise has been incredible. It's credit to him. Like a year in the Premier League and then gets into the Spain squad, goes to the Euros. So yeah, just full credit to him. And the only thing about him is he's got a mistake in him occasionally, but what goalkeeper doesn't? We always say that if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, you're always going to notice because it results in a goal. But yeah, he's still young, and we hope to keep him at Brighton for the next few years.
I missed Elgon's question before, so he's put it in for me. About Garnacho, I don't think he will be thrown in the deep end. I must be honest. I think it'll be Rashford who will be playing up front, and it will be Alanga who will be playing, especially starting. I think Garnacho may potentially come on as a substitute. I don't know. But if he does, I think that it will be great for him to get a few minutes. Have you seen much of Garnacho yourself, Joe?
I never heard of him.
Well,
I might this weekend.
Yeah, you might this weekend. He's one of our youth players. Only, I think he's 17, and he's already got into the Argentina first team. He's not played many minutes, I don't believe, but he's going to the first team for the Argentina. He's also as well played a few minutes for Man United. He came onto pre-season. He played against Rayo when we drew 1-1. But I think that he was outstanding. I think he was probably our best player on the pitch, and that says a lot, really, considering a 17-year-old is outclassing a lot of players.
Fair play. And I think United have always had such a strong academy. And hopefully for you guys, that you see the rewards of putting some faith into the youth team and seeing another golden generation come through, like the likes of Gary Neville and all those lots. So yeah, exciting times for you guys, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. I thought of my lineup prediction anyway, and I've got mine as De Gea, Dalot on the right back, Martinez, Maguire, Malacia because Shaw's apparently injured. I've got Fred. I've got Bruno, then Eriksen in the 10. I've got on the left Alanga, the right Sancho, and up front Marcus Rashford. I think in a way Marcus Rashford up front worries me, to be honest. Just because when he's played up front, I've not been impressed.
It worries me because he always scores against Brighton. So you should be all right.
Well, I suppose it worries us. We're both worried over two different things, aren't we?
Yeah, let's see who's the best warrior comes that Sunday.
Tomb Review has asked, got any more Dans at Brighton? We really like Burn and Ashworth.
Danny Welbeck. Oh, he said besides Danny Welbeck. Any more Dans? No. And keep your hands off our players. They're ours.
Yeah, I see what you mean, Helga. I just don't think he's going to start Ronaldo because he said that players who start will be based off how well they do in training and what impact they've made for the team. So I can't see him starting, to be honest, Ronaldo. But yeah, before this, one more question before the score predictions. I always say I like Graham Potter, what he does in terms of his youth. Looking at what you've seen from Man United, I don't know how much young players you might have seen, but would you take anyone on loan who's a young player at Man United for Brighton?
One thing about our club is that we don't really do loans.
Yeah.
I think we only do loans if there's an option to buy at the end of it, which is why I think there's a snag with Colwell. But that's a different thing. If we did do loans, I think there was a guy. What was his name? Hannibal something.
Hannibal Menjabi.
Yeah, he looks pretty decent. As you say, Alanga, he's rapid, and that's what we miss in our squad. We don't really have anyone with like blistering pace, and so probably one of those two.
Everyone always says Hannibal Menjabi. I had Dundee United fans, and they wanted Hannibal as well. Yeah, so we'll do the score prediction. I've gone for a 3-2 for Man United. Maybe I'm being a bit overly confident, but it could go either way for me, in my opinion. But I've gone 3-2. I thought I'd be a bit confident knowing it's Old Trafford opening game, first game for the Premier League for Ten Hag. So, what score prediction are you going to go for, Joe?
I didn't actually think of this. Let's say, as you say, it's Ten Hag's first game. You've got new manager bounce. We always do crap against teams with new managers. My head is saying a loss, but I'm going to follow my heart this time. And I'm going to say a 2-2 draw. I know that might sound really pessimistic, but it's at Old Trafford, first game of the season. You want to get yourself off to a decent start. So yeah, we'll take a point. Let's go 2-2.
Oh, brilliant. A point is better than no points for Man United anyway. So we'll wrap it up here. Thank you, Joe, so much for coming on, taking the time. It's been great to talk to you.
No worries at all. And I think you're coming on ours tomorrow, so
Yeah.
we'll grill you from a Brighton perspective on United.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. And hey there, I like coffee. Hope you're well. Would you like to shout out your channel? I put the link in the description below, so anyone who hasn't already, go and subscribe. But what is your channel?
Yeah, so our channel is Albion Obsessed, and we do weekly podcasts about all things Brighton and Hove Albion, obviously. So yeah, come over if you fancy listening to a few guys and one girl talk about football. So yeah, it's great fun.
Brilliant. Yeah, go and subscribe there to Albion Obsessed. I put the link in the description below. I'll be live at 8 o'clock. I'll be doing my Premier League prediction show with John, so go and check that out. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.